Feature Friday, all my quilting friends. Thank you so much for joining me in my quilting studio. It's so great to have you here for another week. Hope you'll have some fun plans for this weekend. Today, I want to go over another great feature that's available on both the midline and top of the line Butler robotics system. It is your text feature. And your text feature will allow you to quilt out words and numbers if that's what you'd like to do. I think this is really great because it's going to allow you to add a personal touch to your quilting if you want to do that by putting a name or a date on a gift that you plan on giving, like a baby's name and a baby's birth date, or if you're giving a wedding quilt or an anniversary quilt, you could put the couple's name and marriage date on a quilt. There's lots of reasons why you could put names and dates on quilts, so I think it's a lot of fun to be able to use this feature. Let's turn around and get started and looking at our text feature. All right, everybody, so here you can see that I have a layout box here on my display. I'm in layout, that's highlighted here on the left, and I've got a nice orange box, and that represents this right here. I've got this layout box here that I am trying to fill with a word. And yes, y'all, I realize this is Valentine's Day fabric with all these cute little hearts on it. I am working on a project for that time of year, even though it is July and stinking hot. This kind of makes my brain think it's cooler. So we're working on this one now. So we are going to put the word Valentine in this box with our text feature. Now, normally when we are in layout, we go to patterns to add a pattern to our box. But to add our text feature, we're actually going to jump up to our edit. So we're going to highlight edit here on the left-hand side of our display. And then we'll come over to the right-hand side of our display to find our text feature. So your text feature on your mid and top of the lines is available on the inside ribbon. All the way down at the bottom, it is a little T that's kind of off kilter. If you touch that T, it's going to highlight orange with a white background. And then you have your text features available to you down at the bottom. We have a big button that says click to set the pattern text. We have one that says change font and one that says generate. So we're going to use these today. The first one you're going to use says click to set the pattern text, so we'll click on this one. When we do that, we get a very large keyboard, and it says pattern text and enter text up here. We've got all of our numbers and lowercase. We have a little shift button here and a back button here and our space bar here. We've got an X to get out of this and a check mark to accept what we have typed in our little pattern text here. If we hit our shift button one time, we get our symbols and our uppercase, and we can hit it again so that we are caps locked and can type everything in capital letters if we want. So I'm going to go back down to lowercase letters and shift one more time just so that I can get a capital V for Valentine. And then I'm going to type the rest out in lowercase. So as I'm typing, my letters are appearing up here. And there I've now got the word Valentine. So you can put what you want up in here as long as you know it's going to fit within the space you're quilting in. The more words you have or the longer words you have, obviously it's going to shrink down a little bit more to fit in the pattern layout box you have. I have a pretty big pattern layout box, and for the size of my box, I would say my word is a general average size word. So I should have pretty big text when I hit my check mark. So let's see what's going to happen next. I hit my check mark. I've now got Valentine loaded here, so that's the word I want. And it is in this particular font. Now that's not so bad. I don't mind that, but I want to hit change font to see what my other options are. Depending on which model you have, you may have 3 different fonts or 5 different fonts to choose from. So I'm going to hit change font and see what other looks my word Valentine can have. That's more of a typewriter look. That's kind of cute and scribbly, looking like it was done with crayons. So that could be really fun for a kid quilt. That's a nice bold look. Ooh, that one's very cute and traditional. Oh, I think I like the script. I'm going to go one more time and see what else I have. Okay. I think I'm going to do the script look. I think that looks very pretty. So I've got Valentine there in my script look. That's what I want to do. So now I need to come over to generate. So it generates this word in this script into my pattern layout box. So when we hit generate, there we go. I have the word Valentine in the script that I have chosen, and it has fit itself to the size of my pattern layout box. And that's really nice. I'm going to get a really big scripted word there. The only issue that I have is that it's at the bottom of my pattern layout box, and I want it centered a little bit better. Now, you can notice that I have my box around the word Valentine, and I have all of my nodes available for me. So I'm just going to touch on my green node here in the center and just scoot up the word Valentine to where it's centered a little bit better in my box. And I'm eyeballing my center using my grid, because I've got my grid available to me, so I know I'm kind of evenly spacing that. I think I need to move it over just a little bit to get it all the way inside the box as well. I think that looks pretty good. Let me back that out so you can see. So I'm all the way in my box. I look to be about center because I've got about an inch. My grid is set at an inch, so I've got a little over an inch on each end. So I think it's time to go ahead and stitch this out. I'm going to put you guys on a pause for just 1 second. Sorry, y'all, I didn't mean to put you on pause for a second, but I realized that I had taken my bobbin out last night to wind it, and then I didn't put it back in once I got thread on it. So I wanted to do that without you being on camera. So I've got my fresh bobbin in here. I've got my words centered in my quilting space. So it is time to go to home so we can stitch this out. I'm going to highlight my home button, come over to the right-hand side of my display, and here I need to engage my needle so it stitches for me instead of traces. Always remember to do that. I'm going to hit my green for go button. Double check what I've got here on my display. We're going to move to the start of our pattern, which is my little teeny green dot over here on my V for Valentine. And I'm going to make sure my needle is not in my fabric, and it is not, so we're good to go. And I'm going to hit my green check mark. So I am going to let my machine think about this. It is moving into place where it's going to start on that V, and we're going to start our stitching. So it's going to have me take my stitch, do my tie off, and it's going to go. So I'm going to put you on hold and let this stitch out, and then you can see what it looks like when it's all done. All right, everybody, so I've got my word Valentine all stitched out here, and it looks pretty good. You will notice that I've got these threads in between all of my different letters. So this is a choice that you can make if you have your jump stitches, and let me show you where those are. Your jump stitches are here in your settings in your parameter tabs, and I've got my jump stitches turned on to 5 inches. If you have your jump stitches turned on, in between each of your letters, it'll have you tie off and then it'll jump over to the next letter and tie off and start. If you don't have your jump stitches turned on, then it's going to tie off, have you clip your threads, it'll move to the next letter, tie off, pull up your bobbin thread and go. So for me, when I'm stitching out letters, I prefer to have the jump stitches on so it's a little less work on my end. And then when everything's all stitched out, I can go back and just clip all of my little connecting threads on the front and back of my quilt. Completely your choice. Do what you like when you are working with this, but you do have the option to make sure those jump stitches are on in your settings and parameter so it can hippity hop across your quilt and you don't have to cut your threads in between every single letter that you're working with. I hope that gave y'all some good information. This was fun to do. I'm going to keep on working on this project, but I just wanted to share this with you guys so that you had an idea of how to use your text feature, and maybe the next quilt that you're working on, if you have it available to you, you can use your text feature and personalize your quilt with a name or a special date. Thank you guys so much for joining me, and we'll see you next time. Bye.